Hey everyone, Andrin is back from the dead. No, not as a Black Lantern. At least not yet. We're saving that for issue number 6. It's gonna be awesome. Now, I do need to apologize for being gone for about 2 weeks. It's been a bit of an annoying transition back into school, and I was just trying to spend the rest of what little I had of summer just trying to relax and enjoy it and not really have to do anything. But I'm back in school, so oh well, so sad, too bad. Let's get to the comics. That's why you're here. That and probably to hear me embarrass myself some more on the internet. Anyway, so we got 3 comics to review. Blackest Night number 3, Amazing Spider-Man number 604 and 605. Wow, what excitement. I'm not really all that excited. But anyway, so Blackest Night number 3. Now, I gotta say, I was really enjoying the first 2 issues. Admittingly, issue 2 definitely had a slower pace, but I was really excited and hopeful that issue number 3 could win me back, could really get things going again. And it doesn't. Now it just kind of sits there and says, hey, let's just twiddle our thumbs some more. Twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Oh, hey, the Indigo Lanterns are here. Oh, wait, now they're gone. Let's twiddle some more. Now, there's some spoilers here. The second the girl Jen says, well, she doesn't say it, but the second it's hinted that Jen wants to get married, I'm like, okay, she's gonna die. And guess what happens, kids? I don't know why I thought you might actually answer me there. Anyway, she dies! Yes, it was so predictable. Now, I understand that if I were a bigger fan of the Firestorm comics and the characters, this would probably have a bigger emotional impact on me. And I will admit that Johns did do an okay job at convincing me that Jason does care about Jen. And I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce her name. It's with a G, so I'm going to assume it's Jen. And I understand that there's probably some bigger emotional moment that I'm not getting because I'm not all that familiar with the character. But still, it just seemed predictable and boring and just didn't really do anything for me. It was an okay scene, but it was the only okay scene, really. The Indigo Tribe showing up was also okay, but at the same time, it was walls of text. And that is my biggest issue with this issue. It's walls and walls of text. You are not Alan Moore, Geoff Johns. This is not Watchmen. It's an event comic. You can let some of the words just stop and let the art tell a story, believe it or not. Sometimes emotion can convey a story. Because I'm gonna be honest here, half of the text here is just useless chatter. It's, oh, Hal, I have to go to Zamaron and go save Carol. Barry, no, you don't. You have to stay here and help us. No, yes, no, yes. Oh my God. But in the long run, for all my bitching, it's still an enjoyable issue, but definitely a step down from the prior 2 awesome issues. Fans of the Blackest Night story probably won't be too disappointed, and there actually is a bit more of an improvement in the sense that it's actually leaning more towards the War of the Light, with seeing things like the Indigo Tribe, who I honestly thought was just going to stick around to the main Green Lantern book. But all in all, definitely the weakest issue so far of the Young event. I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 5 and give it a check it. I'm really hopeful that the next issue or 2 can really win me back when Necron shows up. But for now, this was just an okay outing. Now on to Amazing Spider-Man number 604. This is written by Fred Van Lente with Barry Kitson on the art. It was pretty solid, I gotta admit. The Red-Headed Stranger arc has so far been an up and down. It's had its goods, it's had its bads, but in the long run, it's been a decent story. And I gotta say, this was a great issue. It was definitely an awesome ending to what was a pretty solid storyline. Chameleon has his moments, and I really did like things like the Spider Slayer squad quitting, J. Jonah pretty much getting his ass handed to him by his former deputy mayor, and the art by Barry Kitson was pretty good. He especially draws a great MJ. But I do have one problem with this entire arc. MJ is just kind of not there. She made an appearance here and there, but to be honest, MJ, for her big return, doesn't really make all that much of an appearance, or isn't all that essential to the story. Now, I do understand why it's called Red-Headed Stranger. It's because there's one moment in the prior issue where Chameleon, as Peter Parker, is trying to get to know MJ. But all in all, this is, to be honest, a rather odd arc to call it Red-Headed Stranger. Now, The very ending with Chameleon is just awesome, and we find out that Harry's alright in the end, and it's really just a great issue. Definitely the best issue of Spider-Man I've read in a long time. Granted, I haven't read the American Sun arc, which I've heard nothing but good things about. So I'm going to give this one a solid 4 out of 5. It's a must-read. But now we come to Amazing Spider-Man number 605, a double-sized issue with 3 stories and a $3.99 price tag. Ooh. This is the epilogue to the big epic Red-Headed Stranger story arc, and I was hopeful. I'll admit, it was my most anticipated comic of this week. If you read my blog, you know what most anticipated is and what the week begins is and all that stuff. So let's take a good look at it. We got 3 stories, and the first one basically explains where MJ has been up to all this time. It explains her loser boyfriend, and it's just a really crazy story. I don't really want to spoil this one. I'm actually going to have a spoiler review posted probably tomorrow or so, and I'll link it here later on. I'll add the link. And I gotta say, this was a pretty damn good story. It's written by Fred Van Lente, and he really gets MJ, which makes me kind of confused why she wasn't really all that important to the Red-Headed Stranger story. Kind of a waste of talent, if you ask me. But you know what? She was absolutely awesome in this issue. It was a great story. We see MJ as being strong, we see her battle her own personal demons of their past with Peter, and yes, spoiler, she does know that Peter is Spider-Man. How? I don't even care anymore. I just want to see great stories, and this is what it is. I believe the artist's name is Javier Pulido, and he is a very interesting artist. His style feels very similar to Marcos Martin, a pretty damn good artist. But it also feels unique in its own right. The coloring is almost washed out at times, and it feels really funky almost. It's really cool stuff. The second story is definitely the weakest of all 3. It's basically Peter trying to break up with Michelle after being housed by his cousins about how is he dating her. Not a lot to say. It's funny, it has a really great little ending, but not much to say. Just an enjoyable story. That and Luke Ross's art was really clean, really solid stuff. Not his best, but really good. Now the final and third story is just amazing. It's written by Brian Reed, with art by Yannick Paquette, an artist who I'm not really all that big of a fan of, and have usually found his art to be muddy and uninteresting. He proved me wrong here. It's basically Peter goes on a dating site, and as Spider-Man he actually meets someone. It's just a really crazy story. You gotta read for yourself. Reed finally makes Harry an interesting character. I wasn't happy that Harry was brought back, but wow, this was great. It was a funny little story and a great little way to end this issue. Paquette's art was absolutely amazing. Definitely his best work I've seen in a long time. I have to say, he should definitely be one of the Spider-Man artists. I think he could, if he can turn in work like this, he could be up there with Kitson and Martin and McCone and all the other great artists on the comic right now. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5 must-have. That's all I have to say, though, for the comics this week. A little update on my reviews. I actually won't be reviewing the next 2 issues of Spider-Man until next week. No, wait. Not next week. Next week. Yes, next week, after I believe issues number 607 comes out. That's what Marvel's site says. I'm not so sure. That would mean 4 issues coming out in 1 month. But I'm going to try and believe, okay, 4 issues coming out in 1 month. If not, and if it doesn't come out next week, I actually may review 606 on its own. Because I'm really excited for that story arc with the Black Cat returning. And yeah, so that's all I gotta say about comics. I hope you enjoyed my reviews. As always, there's a link to my blog where you can read the reviews, as well as a couple of other reviews. I'm Andrin. Adios.